Hello and welcome to the Spargur Yarn Crafts podcast channel. My name is Spargur. I am your host. I am coming to you from Henderson, Nevada, where I live with my two dogs, Princess and Duchess, and my roommate Delilah and her dog Duke, who seems to think that this is playtime every time. So Duke will probably make an appearance more than once. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you are returning, thank you for coming back. If you are a new subscriber or a new viewer, you can find all of my social links in the video description box below. I'm not going to go through all of those. There are a lot of them. But you can find all of that information down there for both my personal account, where you can follow my fiber journey, as well as for my business, which is Spargur Yarn Co, where I hand dye yarn, I sew project bags, and I do release my own original pattern designs from time to time. So you can find all of those things in the video description box below to suit your fancy. Additionally, in the video description box below are timestamps if you would like to jump around in this podcast to see the things that interest you. And at the end of the podcast, as always, are life updates if I have any. So if you are only here for the Yarny related things, you do not have to listen to the things in my personal life. No offense taken. So one of the things I want to point out real quickly is if you go to the Ravelry group, there is a finished objects of 2019. I have been very quiet in that, and I am sorry. I have just been ridiculously busy as of late. December is a very busy time for someone who is one, a fiber artist with all of our gift making, and two, for me who is a musician, I am constantly rehearsing or performing. The holidays are just a really big time for musicians, especially with church gigs. Whew, churches love their cantatas. They are very, very beautiful, but they are very, very time consuming. So if you've ever seen a Christmas cantata, either at your church or someone else's church, just know that a lot of work goes into those. So this weekend is going to be so much fun. But I have been quiet in the Finished Objects of 2019 thread, and that is because I just keep forgetting to take pictures of my own stuff, and I've been dealing with so many other things. I just haven't popped into Ravelry very much, but I am going to try and do that before the end of the year. Additionally, with how busy I am this month and with the holidays, this will be the last podcast of 2019. There may be an additional video or two that goes up before the end of the year, but this will be the last podcast of 2019, and that is simply just because I am too busy to get another one in before the end of the year, especially with me traveling home to see my family. So that is going to be just too many things on my plate, so I am gonna kind of just wait until 2020 to pick everything back up. So in 2020, you can expect podcasts, you can expect reviews, and a few tutorials. I am in the planning stages of a lot of those things. I know I said I've been doing that for a while, but I am in the planning stages of all of those videos. Anyway, I think that's everything I needed to cover in the administrative stuff. For those of you who are just ready to see what we've got, let's go ahead and jump into the works in progress. I got a few things to show you that I'm really excited about and a little bit of information about them. So let's go ahead and jump right over into that. So things I am working on, I actually do have a few things, and I actually had to take notes this time because there are quite a well, not quite a few, but there are a few things that are kind of important. So the first one I want to do is an update on the Bojagi Shawl by Knit Boop. And if you watched the last podcast, you'll remember that this is one of my friends who designed this. Very, very beautiful pattern. It's really kind of hard to show the pictures. Again, camera doesn't autofocus. Looking to fix that in the future. But this is a very beautiful pattern based on some like knot tying for gift boxes from the Korean culture. So it's a very, very beautiful pattern. There's a mosaic section and then a lace section. I'm on the lace section. So what's the right side here? This is the right side. Okay. So this is where I am so far. I am on this beautiful, beautiful lace section. And so this is the mosaic section. Just kind of this slipping stitch to create these beautiful boxes. And this lace section has some cables. It's really, really beautiful, and it's so hard to capture on camera. It's definitely one of those you have to look at in person. And then there's this garter section. So when I'm done with the lace section, it goes back to the mosaic, and then it goes back to just the plain garter in the first color. I am using Saka in War Paint from Spargur Yarn Co. on the sturdy sock base, and then the brown is actually a one-of-a-kind leftover dye, so it's also just It's my Spargur Yarn Co yarn, and it's a high twist yarn. It's my bounce base. It's a 2-ply high twist, 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and I think it is just knitting up beautifully. It shows some beautiful, beautiful stitch definition, which is, again, hard to show on camera. Hoping to fix that in the near future. Beautiful, beautiful pattern. So I'm knitting this on US 5s. Now, the thing about this pattern is, and with a lot of patterns that do 2-color, where you have to carry the yarn up, they say to, there's a method of carrying your yarn up the side. And I'm not doing that. I find that every time I do that, it just ends up too tight. I can't stay loose enough to make that work. So I always knit the first stitch with both yarns, and I actually really like the way that looks. I don't know if you can see it. If you see me looking over here, that's because that's where I can see what I'm showing on camera. It's really hard to show, but I find that that works better for making sure that everything's loose, and when it comes time to block, it's not going to pull too tight. So you can see there, I can stretch that out to actually be a straight line. This pattern I started a couple weeks ago, and it's a fingering weight pattern. It only uses 200 grams of yarn, contrasting. Well, you can use kind of anything that you want. I use contrasting because I just like the contrast, but also I chose a variegated for the garter, or speckled. It's like a weird speckled, the way I did it. And then a solid for the lace, because I think lace shows up better in solid colors. I wish that I had maybe chosen a lighter color for the lace, but I think that the brown is going to be a nice kind of neutral color, which is what I was after. So, Bojagi is a free pattern on Ravelry, so you can pick it up whenever you hop on over to Ravelry next. And God forbid, I'm going to try to remember to put links to everything I'm working on in the video description box below. I know I've been really, really bad about that in the past, but I'm trying to remind myself that when I'm editing videos, I can take my time. I don't know why it is. I feel like I have to rush to get the video up. But, so, if I forget links, somebody please remind me in the comments. Say, hey, do you have a link for this? And I'll try and edit it and get it in there. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try really hard to remember to put those in there. Put works in progress down here. Okay. Second work in progress. Okay. So another one I'm working on is a shawl called the More is More Shawl by Kayla Waxman. This actually doesn't have a picture, so I'm not going to show the pattern because it pretty much jumps right into directions at the beginning. This is not a free pattern on Ravelry. It is a paid-for pattern. I think it's $6. But I'm actually I'm friends with Kayla, and I participate with her knitting group from California when I'm in California. It's my friend Izzy's knitting group, and she's one of the members. So this is her original design. It's going to be really hard to see all of the different textures that are in here. Like, this is a drop stitch pattern. If you've never done that, there's lace, there's eyelets, there's garter, there's stockinette. Going to be really hard to see, but I also wanted to show off my Aurora Borealis colorway, and I did keep a skein for myself, and this is a one skein project. So I am knitting this in my Aurora Borealis colorway from Spargur Yarn Co. This is on the sock base, which is an 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, super soft. I don't work with my yarns very often. Most people, a lot of dyers tend to work with their own yarns, and that's because they dye a lot of stock so they can afford to keep a few for themselves. I don't actually tend to keep a lot of my own yarn, so these last few times I've been trying to remind myself to hold on to more of my own colorways and to knit with them. So I'm really enjoying how this is knitting up. It's just so beautiful and exactly how I imagined trying to capture the northern lights in a colorway. So this is Aurora Borealis. I believe there may be 1 or 2 skeins left on the shop if you want to pop over there and check it out. But this is the More is More shawl. I'm knitting this on 6s, I think? No, these are 5s. The Bojagi is on US 6s. This is on US 5s. So pretty. I love this. I'm actually, I think, a little over, I'm about halfway done. It's a shawlette. It's not a shawl, it's a shawlette. So it'll be more like a bandana that you would pin together with like a shawl pin or something like that. Not a whole lot else going on with that, just beautiful color, and it does have some really cool stitch work. So if you want to check that out, that's the More is More shawl by Kayla Waxman. All right. Third work in progress is my crochet diagonal wrap. You'll remember I did one of these a while ago. This was in Chic Sheep. I just kind of threw some stuff together. But I ran into Marley Bird at Stitches SoCal. She said get the pattern written out. So that's what I'm doing. I'm crocheting a second one so that I can write out the pattern. There will be a call for testers as soon as I am done with mine. It's actually a really simple repeat. It's like 2 rows. It's a 2-row repeat, essentially. I'm just getting everything kind of squared away. This does use Chic Sheep. It's going to use 5 skeins of Chic Sheep yarn, but of course you can use anything that's a worsted weight. But I'm using it just kind of a way to show off the Chic Sheep colors, so that's why I'm doing that. But the first one I did was just in 2 colors. It was in gray and green, so those were really pretty. But this is all double crochet except for this spine stitch, which is a front post half double crochet on one side and a back post half double crochet on the other side. It is 60 stitches wide, and of course this will block out a little bit wider, so that's why I only did 60 stitches. And it takes 5 skeins because you can only get so far. Like that orange is just 1 skein. It's 1 whole skein. So that spine stitch will slowly shift its way across all the way to the other corner, and then I will add a border to this. So very beautiful. Not a lot to talk about it. I'm doing it on a 5.5 millimeter hook. It is worsted weight yarn. Chic Sheep has a ball band in here somewhere. Chic Sheep has, how many yards are in this? It's not a lot. It's about as many as my skeins, I think. It's like 2 something. Oh my goodness. Here it is, 186 yards. So it's actually about, my hand-dyed worsted weight skeins have 181 yards. So it's only 5 yards more than what I'm doing, or what I'm dyeing. So you could technically use hand-dyed worsted weight too, if you wanted to do that. So, not a lot going on there. Again, 5.5 millimeter hook. I believe that's a USI. Yeah. So, I have one more. This was not originally on my list of things to show, but it looks like, because this only does 10 minutes at a time, looks like I'm going to have to do that in a little separate thing, so give me just a second. Okay, I'm back. This camera doesn't do continuous shooting, so I actually have to constantly keep an eye on how long it's been recording, because otherwise it will think it's recording, but it actually just stopped, and I ran into that problem once. If I get the camera upgrade I'm hoping for in the next 6 months, I will be able to do continuous filming, which will be nice, but I'm not crossing my fingers for that. So if you'll remember 2 podcasts ago, or no, it's the one where I got back from Stitches West, so I guess or Stitches SoCal, so I guess it was last podcast. I bought those 2 giant skeins of undyed yarn. They were like 1,250 yards each. Well, I dyed it into this beautiful red color. It is tonal, it is not a solid, it is a semi-solid essentially. I did knit a swatch, because I decided that I really want to knit a cardigan, and I wanted to knit something that I had to seam up. I've been afraid of knitting seamed items for a very long time. I don't know why I've been afraid of seaming, but I have. The other thing is this yarn is actually, it goes thick, thin, just because of the way that it was spun, so it actually has a really cool feel. And it is single ply, and I've had a couple people tell me that a single ply yarn is not good for knitting sweaters because it's not going to hold up to the wear. So I don't actually wear a lot of the sweaters that I knit. Like, I do wear them, but I don't wear them very often. So the other thing is that if I'm gonna knit a cardigan, I'm okay. Like, I wanted to test dye a single ply yarn, and I wanted to test dye a lot of it at once. I also I've never knit a seamed cardigan before, so I wanted to do all of this, and because this was, the base was relatively affordable to buy, and I did the dyeing myself, and I'm choosing a free cardigan pattern, and I actually did a gauge swatch and stuff. I'm confident it's gonna fit, but I'm also like, if it doesn't work out or I don't like it, then I'm not out a lot of money. So that's why I'm doing it in this yarn. And I do appreciate the people who reached out and said, single ply is probably not a great idea for a sweater. And I totally get that. But actually, now that I'm knitting it, I really like the way it looks. I'm not too far. This is the back piece. You'll have to remember, I'm bigger than I look. So this, I did check the measurements. This is the correct width for the size that I'm knitting. But the size that I'm knitting says it goes from a 48-inch bust to a 52-inch bust. I think it's like a 4-inch. You can wear it on a. It's like a 4-inch. I don't know. It didn't tell me what the ease was. I was like, all right. Well, I'm a 48-inch. I don't want to knit the size low and it not fit. So I'm knitting the size that I think is going to be too big. I guess that's okay. If it doesn't fit me, it'll fit my dad. So it's hard to see. But I am going to take pictures and put this on my Instagram. I'm not very far. I did the 3 inches of ribbing, and then I am 4 rows into the rest. This will have cable patterns. Let me actually... The other thing is, I can't wait to get a little bit further because of the tonal variations in the yarn. I just really want to see how that works up. So this is a free pattern from Yarnspirations. And it's called the Hey Handsome Cardigan. Of course you can't see this. Actually, to be fair, the pictures that they put on the pattern, even in color, are blurry, so you can't really see how this looks here. But again, link in the video description box below. I'll link it to Yarnspirations website because I think because then you can get the pattern directly from there. But I'll also link, because the pictures on the Yarnspirations website are crappy too. But the pictures on Ravelry are great. I don't know how they screwed that up. But the pictures on Ravelry of this cardigan are great. But there are cables. So there's an 8-stitch section, a purl stitch, and a 4-stitch section, and a purl stitch. So there's cables in both of those, I think. I don't know. I can't tell. No. It looks like there's cables in the 4... I don't know. I can't see this. Actually, I guess I could tell you in the pattern. Yeah, so there's a cable in the 8-stitch section, and it's stockinette in the 4-stitch section. So... it's gonna be really pretty. I'm really excited to do this. The only thing I'm really scared of, I'm confident in the front panels, the back panel, and the sleeves. I'm confident that I can do that. I'm not confident about the ball band, mostly because the instructions in here aren't incredibly clear. Come on. The instructions are... So it has a button band and collar, and I think buttons go on my right-hand side. Yeah. So it's got a button band and collar, but it then has a buttonhole band and collar, so I'm wondering if it's seamed in the back of the shawl collar? It doesn't say. It just says shaped collar. Continue even in ribbing, slipping 1st stitch on wrong side row until collar measures length to fit along V-neck edge and ends at the center of back neck edge. So, and then this says, for the other one, shape the collar, continue even in ribbing, slipping 1st stitches on right side rows until collar measures length to fit along V-neck edge, and ends at center of back neck edge, ending on a wrong side row. But it doesn't tell me, so because this says for the button band, sew in place as you knit, stretching band slightly to fit along edge. So do I knit it separately and seam it, or do I pick up as I don't know. So the band is the most confusing part of this, and so I want to knit the rest of it, and then if I decide that I really don't like the button band, I'll do something different. But it looks like I either have to knit it separately and then seam it, or I have to pick up as I go, which is fine. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on in terms of the sweater. So that is all of my works in progress. So let's move on to finished objects. I have a couple to show you that I'm very excited about. And yeah, so let's head on over to that. Okay, so things that I have finished. I have a few while I'm remembering my notes. While I'm remembering what I was... Okay, the pile's over there. Okay, so the first thing is I finished some baby booties, and I think they're just called newborn booties. It's on a free pattern on Ravelry. I think a friend of mine found it on Pinterest. Anyway, I had a coworker who was pregnant. Well, she is pregnant. Her due date is next week, I think. And she wanted baby booties for her newborn. So I knit her a couple of these. It took like an afternoon to knit both of them. They're so quick. But I don't know. I don't have them. I gave them to her because she's not going to be at work. Like her last day was yesterday. So she's going on maternity leave for 6 to 8 weeks. So I had to finish them and give them to her. So I don't have pictures or anything. I'll try to remember. The pattern should be linked in the video description box below if you want to see what they're supposed to look like. I did one color. The one they did is 2 color, which is cute. I hate switching for cuffs. Anyway, so that's... you can see pictures of what they're supposed to look like in the video description box below, but I finished those for her. She's very, very grateful. She said her husband actually thought they were the cutest thing on the planet and played with them for like 45 minutes, so that's great. Okay, so next thing, we'll start with the simple ones first. I have a lot of that Karen chunky cakes that comes with the pom-pom. So I've been crocheting some hats, and well, this is the first one that I've done, but I gotta add the pom-pom, but this is pretty much done. And I'm making hats because it's gift season, and I need something where, like, hey, you want to come to a holiday party? We're doing a gift exchange, and I can just grab something out of a bin. So yeah, I've been working on this. This is all half double crochets. The ball band is single crochets in the back loops only, going back and forth for 6 stitches, and then half double pick up along the band, and then go up until... well, basically until this 3rd stripe was done, and then I started decreases. And I decreased 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 or 8 times. The stitch count I had actually didn't really divide evenly very well. It was only divisible by 4, but 4 decreases per row, I was gonna run out of yarn. So I think I did 8, or I did like 7 and an extra one if I needed it. I don't know. I can't really remember what I did. I did it again in like 2 hours because I just needed something to do that was kind of quick. This has been through the wash. I don't know what it is about the Karen chunky cakes, just really doesn't soften up much. I might run it through the wash one more time. I used a 6.5mm hook, which I believe is a USK. And normally I do a row of single crochets along the bottom, but I'm actually out of yarn. So I didn't do that for this one, but that's not really a big deal to me. So there's one more finished object. Is that the first or second finished object? That's the second. Okay. So, also in the spirit of gift making, one thing I did is I pulled back out my hand crank knitting machine, the one that I got at Michael's. It's the Loops and Threads Knit Quick or something like that. And I've just been cranking off some tube things. Now this is obviously, it's not long enough to be a scarf, but I think because I haven't done anything with the edges yet, they're not bound off, I might pick up, and I could do maybe a 3-needle bind off and make this just like a little cowl. Or I've heard people really like the thing where you can, it's a sleeve, and you can just put it over your arms if you're going to be somewhere and don't need your hands. So you can just put it in here and do that. Did it get dark? I feel like it got dark. I think the sun went away. I can fix that later. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but I left the edges live so that if I decide to do like a 3-needle bind off and make a cute little cowl, easy, done, boom, gift. And then the other one I made, oh, what is that? It's something from Hobby Lobby that I got like a year ago. This is also from Hobby Lobby, like something boutique, or I don't know. I threw all the ball bands away. So this is hand crank. This was a DK weight. took about 45 minutes to hand crank out. But I love the colors. So I'm going to pick this back up so we can see more of the color in the shot. I love all of the colors of this. And I love how soft it is. And again, I've left the edges open. So I'm either going to pick up the stitches and Kitchener them together to make it flat, or I'm going to 3-needle bind off together so that I can make a really long cowl. I think for this one though, I'm just going to flatten it out and seam it up that way. And then this is probably about an 8-foot scarf, so it'd be great for a guy, be a great scarf for a man. So yeah, again, I love the hand cranking gifts on the knitting machine because you can get some really quick projects out if you need to. I know a lot of people think that it's cheating, and I get that, but I think that sometimes when you have those skeins of yarn that you don't know what to do with, especially when there were novelty yarns or something like that, and you know it's not going to get caught on the knitting machine, just crank something out. It'll be beautiful, somebody will appreciate it. It's still technically handmade, because I tell you, 45 minutes of cranking really works your shoulder. But no, I love these. I love them. They're so quick and simple and easy. And I don't think it's cheating. I don't think it's cheating. I know a lot of people do, but I don't think it is. All right. Another finished object I have is my second Flashpoint hat. God, isn't this gorgeous? And on camera, you can actually see the spiral. I actually don't see that looking at it in real life. This is Flashpoint. It is a brioche hat, 2-color brioche. It uses 2 DK weight yarns. I actually have knit 2 of these with the skeins that I have, and I still have some yarn left over. Not enough for another hat, but I do have some of the yarn left over. This pattern, I believe, is free on Ravelry. And the yarn is, the lighter color one on the outside is Match Head by Fiber for the People. And the inside darker color, that really doesn't show up well, which is why it's the inside color. The inside color is Seagrass, also from Fiber for the People. These were in the same shop update that Taylor did, and it was basically a warm and cool update, so I got one of each in the same weight. It is BFL DK. I really love this hat. This is me. This is mine. This is mine. There's a lot of people like, oh my gosh, I want that. It's so pretty. I'm like, no, this is mine. This one is mine. I screwed up the first one. This one's mine. I'm actually really, really happy to say there is not a single mistake in this hat. I am so flipping pleased that there's not a single issue with this hat. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. So, another finished object. What I did so casting on for brioche is weird, especially if you want the 2-color. I should have done a 2-color long tail or a 2-color German twisted, and I didn't. What I did is I did a 2-color knitted cast on, which actually worked out really well. On the first one, I did a 2-color cable cast on. This one, I did a 2-color knitted cast on. Next time I do a 2-color brioche hat, I'm going to do a 2-color German twisted cast on, and that way I'll then have a good idea of how all of the different cast ons work for brioche. Last finished object is my crochet sweater. It's done. It's done. I have worn this actually a couple times. This is in Loops and Threads Endless Impeccable, which was from Michaels. They came in gigantic skeins. Okay, so all half double crochet. This is seamless. I did this kind of as a raglan. And I decided to do short sleeves because I just wanted to finish it, and I didn't want to do full sleeves. By the time I got back to working on this, I'd actually forgotten what I did on my sleeves, so it took some time to figure it out. And by the time I figured it out, I just really didn't want to do full sleeves. And also with short sleeves, I can wear it more months of the year than I could if it was long sleeved. So it's white, gray, and black. Now, this I am working on a pattern for it's gonna take some time because I want to do this in a way that you can kind of customize it to yourself, instead of just following a pattern. You're gonna have to do a little bit of math, but I think by doing the little bit of math, you're gonna be able to create a sweater that works for you. So this pattern, it's gonna take a little bit, but I am working on a pattern for this sweater. And it will have options for both short and long sleeve, so if you're worried about, I don't want a short sleeve sweater, I'd rather have a long sleeve, don't worry, the options will be, there will be both. So yeah, done with that, very pleased, very, very pleased. 100% acrylic, went through the wash, wears great. Alright, so let's move on to some other Yarny related things. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about the patterns that I'm working on. So the crochet diagonal wrap, I'm working on a pattern for that. I'm working on a pattern for the crochet sweater. And next, I'm working on a pattern for this, I'm calling it a mosaic shawl. And this uses less than 200 grams, but it's pretty close to 200 grams of yarn. I am working on writing out the rows, and then I will have to knit it a second time to kind of work out the fade, because it's just going to be a two-color shawl. It's not going to have all these colors like mine has. This was using a lot of leftover yarn. The one I want to write up is just going to have two colors and make it kind of a really cool contrasting fade. So that's something that I'm working on, but I'm trying to decide what colors I want to knit it in based on the things that I have in my stash. So I am working on a pattern for this. There will be a call for testers as soon as I kind of figure out the logistics. So yeah, I'm working on a pattern for those three things right now at this moment. So be on the lookout for a call for testers. What else? Oh, so another thing I wanted to do is go over, some of the new yarns in the shop that I have for the holiday season. And these aren't, well, I did have them for Black Friday, but if you're still like looking for a gift for one of your fiber friends, or maybe for yourself, or maybe somebody has asked you what you want and you haven't given them an idea yet, I've got a few yarn choices. So this one here is called Rock Candy Mountain. Sorry about that, somebody rang the doorbell, and every time they ring the doorbell, the dogs go off for about 15 minutes. So, on top of that, Duke thinks it's time to play again. Anyway, where were we? For anybody that's thinking about starting a YouTube podcast, or starting a knitting podcast, or starting any kind of podcast where you have to record things, just know you will be constantly interrupted. It's quite exhausting. And this is why we have editing. Okay. So, the first yarn that's in the shop right now. Oh, sorry, it's going to take me a minute to get my composure. Okay, so the first yarn in the shop, this is called Sugar Plum Fairy, and it's just a really nice soft tonal purple with some blue speckles. Very, very gorgeous color. I have one that's very similar to this on a worsted weight called Rock Candy Mountain that also has some flecks of yellow in it. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more fun and on a worsted weight, check out Rock Candy Mountain. But this is Sugar Plum Fairy. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous colorway. Very soft, it feels very holiday, very candy, very sweet. So that's available. And this is on the sock base. Well, that's what I'm holding is the sock base. Another one also on my sock base and on a DK. This is called Evergreen Bough. It's a nice moss green, and then it's got some flecks of brown, some reds. I think there's some blues in here too. I did this on a windy day, and I believe some of the dye from one of my other pots ended up in this one. So this has just a lot of really nice colors in it, and so you can check that out. A third one I have is called Oh Christmas Tree. It's a nice emerald green with some flecks of moss in it. It's a very tonal colorway. Very, very beautiful. The speckles they're not everywhere. They're a very, nice, soft speckle. So that's available. And then the last one, this is called Holiday Splatter. This is shown here on my DK weight base. This is a nice red with flecks of green that looks kind of like a paintball fight. Very, very beautiful colorway. Lots of fun. I think you'll enjoy this as well. So all of those are on the shop if you want to go check those out. Anything else? Oh, we need to talk about a giveaway. So let's hop on over to that. Okay, so I realized that I forgot to announce the winner of the cotton yarn that I was giving away. So with that, I actually have two winners to announce today because one of the winners, so there was supposed to be a winner for, oops, hold on, let me get all this out of here. I'm slightly unorganized right now. Whee! Okay, so there was supposed to be a winner for this Madeline Tosh yarn. This beautiful, beautiful holiday colorway from a year ago before Jimmy Bean bought them. This was supposed to go to someone. That person has not reached out to me. It's been about 3 weeks. So that person has not reached out to me, so I do have a new winner for this. And then additionally, I need to name the winners of the cotton yarn. Now for this podcast, because it is the last podcast of the year, I'm not going to be doing a giveaway because it'll be probably 4 or 5 weeks before I announce a winner. So there's not going to be a giveaway this week or this podcast, but there will be starting in 2020. So the winner of this yarn, where did I put? Oh, hold on, it's on my phone. Since I'm not recording with my phone, I actually have my phone. So the winner of the Mad Tosh yarn is Ophelia Bells. Ophelia Bells, named down here so that you can see how it is spelled. Ophelia Bells, you are the winner of the Mad Tosh yarn. You're the new winner of the Mad Tosh yarn. So please send me an email to SpargurYarnCo@gmail.com with your mailing address so I can get this out to you. And the winner of the cotton yarn, this is Cascade Yarns Ultra Pima Cotton. 2 skeins of it. That winner is Renee Crump. Renee Crump, named down here so that you can see the spelling. You are the winner of this cotton yarn. Congratulations to both of you. Please send me an email to SpargurYarnCo@gmail.com with your mailing addresses so I can get those prizes out to you. And if you get them to me soon, I might be able to have them out before the holiday season so that you can enjoy them for your holidays. So yeah, again, not going to be doing any giveaway of yarn this week because of traveling and too many logistics and because it will be a long time before I announce the winners. So look for another giveaway in 2020. All right. Hi, Duke. No, please don't. Please get down. Please get off. Please down. Okay. So this is normally where I would do my life updates. I don't really have any life updates. Just, going through the holidays. I've kind of covered most of what's going on in my life right now already. So, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you were a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If you are new and you've made it this far, please subscribe and then give this video a like and hit the little notification bell so you can be notified anytime I put up a new video. There's going to be lots of new cool things coming in the new year. So I hope you're excited. I know I am. I have a lot of new things that I'm working on, a lot of changes that I hope to bring that are good changes. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you for coming back and for giving me all of your support. I really do cherish all of the interactions that I have with all of you. It really does bring me a lot of joy, and for this holiday season, it really does remind me of what this season is all about and what life is all about. And so thank you all for everything that you do for me. And if you have any suggestions or anything like that, please feel free to leave comments. I love comments. I know I don't get around to answering them all the time, but I do try when I do have the opportunity. So yes, thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, whatever it is that you celebrate during this time. And I will see you all again in the year 2020. Thank you so much.